Good morning, this is part 2 of 18-day compost, the fast way to make compost. The compost that you end up at the end of it is not entirely finished. It can be used as a mulch, which is what I want this actual material to be used for. You can then let it rest and basically add nutrition in different ways, but I'll cover that in a different video to follow in the future. I also have another video that will focus on wood chips and why I'm less in a hurry to do those than the bracken today, because I think the bracken will give more immediate results than the wood chips. It is quite possible with wood chips, but I find letting them rest and go through a longer process of cooler and letting the worms do a lot of the work is wonderful for the end result. Today I'm going to be keeping the video down below 10 minutes if I can, and it's going to be showing a couple clips over a couple of days, few days, of what the temperatures are like, how to turn a compost pile really easily. So this is day 2, first turn. Now what I want to do is show you a really easy way of turning a full bay of compost without actually removing it and having to lift it above the sides. So the first note is that I'm digging a trench, and that movement is so much easier than lifting up and over the sides, and that's really the main bulk of effort to do, because we'll show you in a minute why that is. So remove all the content from 1/4 of the pile, making a trench. Then we collapse another 1/4 into the previous one, so the uncomposted material from the top goes to the bottom, and so on. And we're breaking up any lumps as we go and introducing air into the pile, which is what we need. Then we do the next trench. So each time we do it, collapse the top into the bottom of the previous trench, and then the rest of the trench just gets put up to the left hand side. Last trench gets collapsed in and then dug up over. You can see the pile is lovely and hot. Plenty of visible evidence of that. Lovely. And then all we have to do is the material that came out first of all gets put in the right hand side, and that way it'll be the next in line to have the central heat. Although the temperature does go out quite a long way towards the edges, it's just the last, say, 6 inches that isn't quite as hot. Try and get all the material back in as cross. I know this visually isn't great a heap, because I would love to have the front on, but just haven't had the scrap wood to do it yet. And then all remains is just a level off the top, more for visibility than anything else, just to make it look nice. If a compost pile can never look nice. And that's it. That has taken me barely 10 minutes. Whew. Right, I wanted to get that covered off so I could speak to you, scare the spores. That is it. Didn't take very long. I'm not exactly exhausted by that process. If I had front side on this, it'd be far better. Not much time at all. Of course, if you're at work 7 days a week, 5 days a week, it's going to be a problem. But you know what? If that was left 4 days before turning, yes, you'll lose a little bit of the temperature. But, is it a real problem? The only time it's a real problem is if you get the mix wrong and you get layers of grass that map together and form a sludgy anaerobic mess. That's when it becomes a problem. But if you follow the guide I've got here about the particle size and the mixing, not a huge amount can go wrong. So this is day 5, and it's turn 2. The temperature has dropped back a bit. I do think on that first turn that it was too dry. I didn't do anything about it, but I am this way this time by virtue of putting this grass in the mix. This grass is nice and fresh. It will add to the moisture levels. I think this will cure the little problem. Same old system again of removing 1/4 of the pile out, collapsing in, and then mixing as we go. Because I'm adding this grass this time, I want it thoroughly mixed. So each time I do this, I'm mixing it. I'm not too worried about the very bottom of the pile. If I happen to miss anything there, that's fine. So it's what I'm really trying to avoid is having any large clumps of grass, because that will form an anaerobic ball and a stinky, slimy, gluey mess will ensue, and that's what we really want to avoid when we're using excessive amounts of grass. I do have a large volume of grass available. That's why I focus on grass so much. So I think we all got the ability to have grass. It's always best to be used fresh. You do not want to use 2-day-old grass, because it will have already heated up, it will already start mushing together, and it's harder work for everybody. So we're on day 7, and this will be turn 2, and the temperature is back up to about 64 degrees, and I think that basically reflects the nitrogen boost that we gave it. I'm not going to show you the whole clip this time, because I'm sure you'll get bored of that. I just want to make one point. If you've got weeds that have got either seed or soil on the roots, this time is a particularly good time to turn them, or any time in the last couple of turns. But any weeds with roots with soil on, the soil isn't particularly wanted, but you know, for the best will in the world, you can't get rid of it all before you add it. Any weed seeds like this, all great. What I'll actually do is actually bury those at the centre of the pile. There we are, guys, all finished. Second turn. It's already turning quite well. I'm quite pleased with that. It's worth adding the extra grass, because it's added a second format, which wasn't my intention, but I hoped it would be the case. It's actually added a lot more moisture to the pile. I was a little bit concerned in case it's too dry. I didn't waste any more energy on adding moisture. All I did was add the grass clippings, which is giving it that necessary boost. I think the difference in the grass clippings is the fact that the weather was dry before the first cut, and then we had a decent bit of rain a couple of days before the last cut. So the actual moisture content of the grass has risen. Thanks a lot for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.